I think he's brave, right? Because he doesn't need to put his reputation on the line, and there are many that have come across the sevens and been found out because it's a very unforgiving, lonely place out there with a lot of space to defend and attack. But what Dupont did really, really well was he came in and he didn't try and reinvent the wheel. He didn't try and come up with $1 million players or anything like that. Attacking wise, he was very straightforward. He would move the ball like he normally did quickly. He'd have a look, but he'd move it probably more so than he normally would in the 15s. And he looked for second and third touches to be links. And he only ever went when it was a really, really 100% on. And he played the team game. And he just blended in and he got on it. Where he was exceptional, and I think this comes from the way he carries himself and his confidence. Defensively, he didn't overchase anything, which is what tendency you do when you come to sevens because you're worried about the space. He just stuck to his system. He trusted his acceleration, and he just moved effortlessly defensively. That's where he didn't do a lot, but he didn't do anything wrong, right? And if you're going to be successful in the game of sevens, you don't get found out in your first two legs. He didn't deserve to be in the dream team week one, but he was always going to be in the dream team for week one because he made the decision to play. But week two, we saw a real improvement. And he was really, really integral in terms of all the link play in attack, but also his defensive work was fantastic. And he is exceptionally strong. He is exceptionally fit. And he's the first, what we would say, world star, really, to come across in his prime. So most of them come across at the end. He came across in his prime, and he was able to adapt physically straight away, which was his biggest asset, because the others have always struggled for that adaptation. But when you're one of the fittest 15th players in the world as it is, the week one, he was managing to do 7-8 minutes. And then by week two, he kind of had that confidence to go kind of 14 minutes. But the biggest thing I can say about him is he just fitted in. And that's the mark of the man, I think. When you watch him, the way he was around the hotel, in the team room, he just wanted to be Antoine, that was one of the blokes that it's all about these guys. I'm just going to here to try and help. His external presence for the other 12 French was exponential, because all of a sudden, right, well, we got Dupont. And that, when you bring confidence into young men, it's dangerous. Yeah. And they become a handful, and they became a handful.
I mean, you've obviously portrayed Dupont very flatteringly, and except calling his neck that of a cow, but we'll one thing that has really interested me is when they won, it was LA that France won. I think they came second in Vancouver, was it? And then won in LA. So obviously the impact was pretty quick. But the way he celebrated there was kind of a side we've never seen with him before. He seemed really out of his shell and just joshing around with the France team as well. And then also we saw him interviewing in English, which you see so rarely, and you see a snippet into his personality. So would you say that there's a slightly unhinged is probably the wrong word, but the shackles have come off a little bit when he goes over to the seven side as well? And it's his sort of, as sevens is to 15, sevens is rugby, but fun in the sun.
But it's a bit more freedom, right? And don't forget, when you come to the World Series, it's a traveling circus. It's like he had to get his head around the fact that he was eating lunch, dinner and breakfast with the other 12 teams, when normally they're in their own hotel in isolation. And I think those kind of adjustments give you a different perspective, and everybody is friends, being candid and comrades until battle lines are drawn, and then it's all business, and then when it's all finished, it's all finished. But don't forget, he'd have been changing in the changing room with 3 other teams, so he's got all of those kind of adjustments which will be new to him. And I think a very important piece was Reeves. Obviously, having his mate from school obviously allows him to be him, because he's not got to be the face of France rugby, even though he is the face of France rugby, even on the world circuit. He's just one of the guys. And you saw that insight into him where, he's, like you said, it's the pressure's off a little bit, right?
I think there's almost two sides to Dupont. He is incredibly intense player, and he rarely smiles on the pitch. He just gets on with business. But I've followed him on social media for quite a few years, and there is that other side. He really stops to smell the roses. I mean, he's always posting. I mean, for the last 5-6 years, whenever Toulouse, or even when he was at Castres, have a good win, he's always posting a picture of the team, either celebrating in the training room or having a meal or a drink. He goes down the beach with them Tamak and they go skimboarding and surfing. He's always posting pictures of that. There's definitely two sides of him, and he compartmentalizes rugby, fun, I think, with him, and that's him.